Boom. I'm live. What's up, everyone? You guys ready to do a little whiteboard action? Before I start, I'm having a sale today. I was asked on Instagram earlier about some of my Instagram PDFs, and I'm doing an all PDF bundle. I've done this 2 times before. It's the Beato book and my YouTube and Instagram bundle transcriptions. It's over 600 pages and it's half off. So you go to my website, there's a discount code, RB251 is the discount code. So that is on sale. Also having a discount on the ear training course, 20% off. Go to beatoeartraining.com and it's the same discount code, RB251. What's up, Deb? Hey, everybody. Will, Evan, George, Wayne, Carlos. Good to see everyone. Okay, so we're going to talk chord substitutions right now. This stuff is in the Beato book. It starts on basic rules for chord substitutions. This is actually a really important part. How do you take a chord progression and spice it up or go in different places? People ask me that all the time about how do you substitute chords for chord melodies, for, what if you're writing a rock tune, pop tune, EDM tune, doesn't matter. Chord substitutions always work the same way. There's some basic principles that you can have, okay? So here's 3, just to start off. I've got 3 different things here written down. One rule for chord substitution is you can take the bass note will stay the same and you substitute another chord. For example, F major 7 could become F7, okay? You could have a chord substitution where the bass note changes, but the chord stays the same. Well, you'll say, well, how does the chord stay the same? Well, B9 and F7 sharp 9 sharp 5, or flat 9 sharp 5, are the same chord. If I take my guitar, I'll show you how you can see this visually or hear it. If I go like this, there we go. So if I take this chord here, okay, that's that chord. That's F7 sharp 9 sharp 5, or I'm sorry, flat 9 sharp 5, and I put it should be C9. Excuse me. No. I was playing F sharp. I was right, B9. I played the wrong chord. F7. Okay. Same chord. If you see the top of it, put F in the bass, put B in the bass. You have all the same notes except the bass note has been changed, but it's actually the same chord because they're from the same scale. So that's a different type of chord substitution. And then we have chord replacement. So for C major 7, I can substitute E minor 7. Okay, that's using the mediant chord from the same key. All right, so if I take a C major scale, the mediant replacement would be the mediant chord, the 6, or the submediant, which would be A minor. I'm using A minor 9 right there, is a sub. If I put C in the bass, it becomes C major 7. Or E minor 7 is really a C major 9, okay? So that's a chord replacement from the same scale. So I'm going to write that down here. So for major chords, you can substitute the mediant or submediant. So this is the mediant is the 3 chord, the submediant is the 6 chord. So they can substitute for the 1 chord. So C major 7, you can substitute either E minor 7 or you can substitute A minor 7, okay? That's the 6 chord in the key of C. I'm sorry, that's the 3 chord in the key of C, that's the 6 chord in the key of C. So those are substitutes for one another. Now, if I took a minor 7 chord, let's say I took a C minor 7 chord, you can substitute the relative major, So the relative major for C minor 7 would be E flat major 7. Okay, so C and E flat have the same key signature, so E flat major 7 is a sub for C minor 7. Another substitute for C minor 7 is G minor 7. Okay, I'll show you how these work. So this is the minor 5 chord. So if we take it from Aeolian, that's the 5th chord, so C Aeolian, and the E flat major 7 is the major 3 chord. Okay, I'll demonstrate that for you. So here's my C minor 7 chord, right? If I just play C minor 7, right here is an E flat major triad. So you can see how E flat can be a sub for C minor 7 because there's an E flat major chord right in it, okay? But very common if somebody plays this. That's E flat major 7. Okay, so that's a perfect substitution, as you can hear. Or if I play G minor 7. These are essentially inversions of the chord. So C minor 7, E flat major 7, G minor 7. So you have a chord here, then you have a chord built off the 3rd, then you have the chord built off the 5th. So major off the 3rd, minor off the 5th of the minor 7 chord. Okay? So those are the two most common substitutions for that. Dominant chords. So if I take a C7 chord, a good one is E minor 7 flat 5, okay, which is built off the 3rd of the chord. There's a lot that you can do for C7. You can build a bunch of different chords for it. I could do, let me show you this one here. E minor 7 flat 5. So here's C7. Here's my E flat, or E minor 7 flat 5. I go to the root there. Okay, so that is the substituting the half diminished chord built off the 3rd. I can also, there's a bunch of different substitutions for dominant chords. I can substitute the, I don't want to get into this right now because there's going to be a lot of different ones. I'll get into it in a second. Actually, no, I am going to get into it. If I just took the scale that it comes from, C Mixolydian, C mix. Okay, so you've got C, you have D minor 7 flat 5. Let's do this. Make it easier. C, E, G, B flat. Okay, so here are these are the notes of your C 7 chord. So I did E minor 7 flat 5. You can use a G minor 7 as a sub for C7, okay, because that's the 2 chord that's related to it. I'll show you that in a second. And on B flat, you could play a B flat major for it, okay? This would be B flat major 7, sharp 11. I'll show you. So C7 here. So B flat major 7 sharp 11. Major 7 sharp 11. Or sharp 5. So here's your C7 chord. You can use the 3rd, half diminished off the 3rd. You can use the minor 7 off the 5th, or you can use the major 7 sharp 11 off the flat 7. So if I play this chord, David said, don't you mean G minor 6? You can't play G minor 6. But the 2 chord, what's that, Billy?
You're covering the whiteboard.
Oh, sorry. The 2 chord is always a substitute for the 5 chord. You can always... It's called 2ing the 5. This is probably the most common substitution that you'll hear in jazz. Now, a direct substitution would be a G minor 6, okay, or G minor 13. But this is actually what people will typically substitute, because they'll take this G minor 7 and they'll go to C7 after that. This is interesting. So if you wanted to do a substitute on giant steps, I don't know, for those of you that know giant steps. Okay. So it starts on B major 7, it goes to D7, G major 7, B flat 7, E flat major 7. Well, I could play what I did there, I played B major 7, and instead of D7, I played A minor 7. I did that 2 chord sub. So I did the 2 chord sub there too. So all right, so that is a way to use substitutes for would be on giant steps. All right. Now, probably the easiest way to come up with chord substitutions is to take the parent scales of these chords. Okay. If I have let's say a C7 altered. Okay, so that would be C7, sharp 5, sharp 9, flat 5, flat 9. Okay? And I was like, okay, well, what scale goes with this? Well, the C altered dominant. That scale is really D flat melodic minor. So if I take any of the chords that are in D flat melodic minor, they will substitute for C altered dominant. But what you want to do is you want to find chords based off the chord tones, because those are going to be typically your best substitutions are going to be ones based off the chord tones. So I'm going to try and find ones off C, E, G sharp, B flat. But really any of them will work, okay? E would be E major 7, sharp 5. Okay? If I go to G sharp and B flat, be easier to demonstrate with the guitar because you're going to be able to hear it. Okay, so if I have this chord here, I can substitute this. That would be an E major 7 sharp 5. Now you'd have to hear it in context. So if I go 2, 5, 1. So I did G minor 7 to an E major 7 sharp 5 to F major 7. So 2, instead of 2, 5, 1, I did 2, substitute 5, 1. What's cool about that is that that voice leading is really cool there. I love that. Okay. Essentially, any of the chords from D flat melodic minor will work. I could substitute, for this, I could play a D flat minor major. Minor major 9 would work on that because this is the one chord in D flat melodic minor. Okay. I could use E flat sus4 flat 9 as a sub. And this is where you have to know what chords are in each of the keys. Okay, so if you know what the chords in D flat melodic minor are, then you can substitute any of those chords for this C7 altered. Okay. Even more basic, you take the take a chord progression. Let's do this here. Major 7. Okay, this is a very standard chord progression. This is the in A flat major. Whoops. This is the 6, 2, 5, 1, 4 of A flat major. Okay, I'm using A flat major. This is the beginning of the tune. All the things you are. Okay, but for chord substitution's sake, this is a really good one to talk about. By the way, discount code RB251, 50% off the PDF bundle that has all my Instagram improvisations in it and all the YouTube transcriptions along with the Beato book. Okay, and ear training course for those of you that don't have it, doing 20% off, same discount code. I haven't done any discounts really on the ear training course, which is RB251, same discount code. Okay, so one thing you can do is you can change these to dominant chords because the bass movement is all moving in fifths. So I could go F7, B flat 7, E flat 7, A flat 7, D flat 7. Okay, that's an easy substituting dominant chords for any of these. Okay, because of the way that the root motion works. Okay, but I could also do things like take certain chords in here and say, okay, well, let's see, what could this B flat minor 7 be? Well, I could substitute the relative major, D flat major 7, okay? And then this one, let me think about that. Let's see, I could go off the third and go G major 7, sharp 5. Okay, that's built off the third of that. So that is the, so if I have this chord here, E flat 7, okay, so that is the, if I take this alter dominant on E flat and I play, same thing I just did in a different key. Okay, so I substituted the major 7 sharp 5 for this because it's from the parent scale of E melodic minor. Melodic minor. A flat major 7, I can substitute the mediant for that. The mediant in A flat would be a C minor 7. D flat major 7, I could substitute the median for that. That could be F minor 7. Okay? F minor 7, I could substitute the relative major. You see how this works? I could go A flat major 7. Okay, so here's a totally, this is the same chord progression, but I'm substituting different chords here using these basic principles. I substitute the relative major here, relative major there. I substituted the major 7 sharp 5 built off the third. I substituted the relative minor, and I substituted the relative minor. Kind of turns the progression around. Okay, so this would be a possible chord substitution. You can also do things where you put in a tritone substitution. You guys, a lot of you, I'm sure, have heard that term. Tritone substitutions typically are where you substitute a dominant chord, a tritone away from the 5 chord. Okay, so that would be A7 would be the tritone substitute. So it's a half step above the tonic chord. So it's substituting. So this A7 is a tritone away from E flat 7. Well, why does this work then? Well, there's a couple ways, a couple reasons why. Because if I take, first of all, it sounds good. Or okay, so if I compare the notes of A7 to E flat 7, the A is the sharp 4, or sharp 4, flat 5. The G is the 3rd. The C sharp is the flat 7, it's really D flat. And the E is the flat 9, okay? So it's a flat 9, flat 5 chord. Okay, so that tritone sub is from the same melodic minor scale. Okay, so A7 in relation to, has the notes A, C sharp, E, G. If I compare it to an E flat 7, A is the sharp 4, C sharp is really D flat, which is the flat 7, E is the flat 9, and G is the flat 7. I'm sorry, G is the 3rd. Excuse me, 3rd. Okay, so that's why the tritone sub works. It's basically a, I'll make this a flat 5. It's easier to see this way. It's an A7 flat 9 flat 5 sound, okay? You can also substitute an A7 altered and do a different kind of substitution. A7 sharp 5 flat 9. This would be a mixed sharp 11 substitution, okay? Just stick with me here. So if I have A, C sharp, sharp 5 would be F, and the flat 9 on A would be B flat. If I compare it to an E flat 7 chord, A, okay, is the flat 5. C sharp is really D flat, flat 7. F is the 9, and B flat is the 5th. Okay? This because this comes out of a different melodic minor scale, but this is a different type of tritone substitution. Okay? So instead of, you have this. So A7 sharp 5 flat 9 is the same chord as E flat 9. Okay, they both come from the same melodic minor scale. Okay, so that if I play, they both come from B flat melodic minor. Okay, so that's why that substitution works. So there's two different types of tritone substitutions. Typically, though, people will play the one that is the straight dominant chord as the substitution. So just straight A7 for E flat 7, which gives you an E flat altered sound. Now, there's other things that you can do to change the quality. It's called modal interchange on these. I know I'm going fast, but you can always stop these things and rewind it. Now, modal interchange would be you could take the mode that would typically be associated with the chord and change it, okay? So here are the modes: F Aeolian, B flat Dorian, E flat mix, A flat Ionian, D Lydian, D flat Lydian, okay? Those are those are the modes that go with those chords. Well, I could actually play F Dorian, okay, which would give me like an F minor 13 chord, F minor 13. I could make this B flat Aeolian, which would give me, let's say, a B flat minor 7 flat 6 voicing. On this E flat chord, I could play, substitute out E flat altered dominant. And that would give, I could play E flat 7 sharp 5, sharp 9 flat 5, whatever, it doesn't matter. I could, any combination of altered sevenths and fifths, sharp 9 flat 5, something like that. On this, instead of A flat Ionian, I could make it A flat Lydian, or I could do A flat Lydian augmented. So A flat major 7, sharp 11. Here I could do a Lydian augmented. This could be D flat major 7, sharp 5. Okay? Modal interchange. So I'm changing the modes that would typically be associated with this. This would be Lydian augmented. This one would be Lydian. I already have that written there, Lydian, A flat Lydian. Okay, so I've switched the modes of all these chords. That's what the modal interchange, that's how that works. Right, Billy? Mm-hmm. Billy's listening in on here. This is really cool to do. These are probably some of the easiest chord substitutions to do if you know what modes go over the chords, and that's just based on whatever the Roman numeral tells you it is. Okay, the mode that's associated with the 6th chord is Aeolian, with the 2 chords Dorian, with the 3 chords Phrygian. 1 chord is Ionian, 4 chords Lydian, 5 chords Mixolydian, 7th chord is Locrian. Okay, you have to have those memorized in order to do this. So these kind of chord substitutions are called modal interchange. So I'm just exchanging a different mode than the mode that typically would be associated with those scale degree names, okay? In order to do this, though, I mean, this may seem sophisticated. This is all in the Beato book. It's very, very easy to memorize these. I have a whole chapter where I say basic rules for chord substitutions. My book only comes as a PDF, but I printed it out. And it goes into, major chords, dominant chords, and you can substitute a diminished chord built on the, probably the most common dominant substitution that people will teach you, because you hear it in Bach all the time. Like for A7 flat 9, you can play a B flat or B flat diminished 7. Okay, B flat diminished 7, C sharp diminished 7, and it would be all related in minor thirds, right? So E diminished 7 and G diminished 7. So A7 flat 9 are the notes A, C sharp, E, G, B flat. Well, if I take this, that's a C sharp diminished 7. If I reorder these notes, C sharp diminished 7 is the same as B flat diminished 7. They have all the same notes. E diminished 7 and G diminished 7 all have the same 4 notes in them. They just have different spellings and harmonically. So those are you can substitute those. Those are frequently used when you hear, a jazz player or whoever playing A7. So that's a great substitution, probably the most common chord substitution that you can have right there. So that's another one. All these things are in my book. Any of the simple substitutions that you have where you substitute the... Oh, I'm going to come down here and sit down here like this so I can read this stuff. Substitute, what a great song. The Who. Do I have 8s on all my guitars? I actually have 9s on that PRS there. Let's see here. I'm looking for questions here. Coupon code RB251 for the Beato book and the entire PDF bundle, the Instagram, YouTube PDF bundle. It's over 600 pages. It's half price on the website. And Beato ear training course, 20% off, RB251. Again, you have to go to Beato ear training for that, to purchase that. Let's see, there's a super chat here. Off topic, since I caught you live, can you recommend any physical books for an 8-year-old starting piano lessons? I would recommend you get a piano teacher to tell you about that. Typically, people use the Alfred books. Those are really common for beginning piano players, though.
There was a question earlier asking if someone could solo over a substitution with the same lines as the original line, and would it work still?
Yes. So when I did the substitutions, like when I had E flat 7 altered, and I substituted G major 7 sharp 5. If I play the arpeggio of G major 7 sharp 5, or if I play the E flat altered scale, it's all the same notes because it comes from the same parent scale. Chase just said, can we talk about minor major 7 subs over dominant, my guy? I think he thinks that I'm my guy. He's calling me my guy. So if you take a A7, why can't I write today? A7 chord, and I take the B flat melodic minor scale. Well, the one chord in B flat melodic minor is B flat minor major 7. Minor major 7, okay? That is a sub for A7 altered. Let's look at what the notes are. B flat, D flat, F, A. Okay, so what notes are these of the A7 chord? A7. Well, B flat's a flat 9. D flat is really C sharp, so it's the 3rd. F is the sharp 5. And A is the root. Okay, that's why that works. That's why this B flat minor major 7 works as a sub. It gives you an A7 flat 9 sharp 5 chord. Okay? That's all chord substitutions are. You can have other types of substitutions where you superimpose a chord progression over. That's what giant steps is, right? Giant steps is there's a particular chord progression that is really, Coltrane would use that as there's a tune called Countdown, and he built it off of the song Tune Up by Miles Davis. I mean, he used those Coltrane changes. I have all that in my book. But one of the simple things to do is to use the circle of fifths as a substitute. If you have an F blues, F7, B flat 7, F7, F7, B flat 7. Okay. If I start the circle of fifths a half step above the root of the tonic chord, and I go F sharp 7, B7, E7, A7, D7, G7, C7, F7, boom, B flat 7. It will intersect. So this is called the cycle. You're cycling, and you're going to intersect in the 5th bar. This is bar 5. So I'm superimposing that chord progression over there, knowing that I'm going to intersect there. And I can solo over these chords. And when I hit this, I know in bar 5, I'm going to, boom, hit right in that B flat 7. Kane, thank you so much. Okay, so if you take my circle of fifths exercise that's in the book, and I have, if I take F sharp 7. Okay, so I started on F sharp 7, I'm going. And I'm ending up there, so instead of... I'm playing. Okay, so that was, I used the cycle right there, and I was soloing over an F blues. But I started on an F sharp 7. I played F sharp 7, B7, E7, A7, D7, G7, C7, F7. Boom! B flat 7 on the downbeat of the 5th bar. I know this stuff is really complex, but you know, it's all memorization basically, and then knowing what sounds good. Knowing what sounds good. Let's see. Carlos says, could it be said that substitutions are a way of are all constructed by adding thirds over each note of the chord you want to substitute? Well, you could do that. That is how that diminished 7th chord a half step above the root of the dominant works. You know, those that works in that way. I mean, a lot of these can work that way, but you can have, but the modal interchange doesn't really work that way. That's where you're just substituting a different mode off the same root, okay? Memorization and usage, that's right. Memorization's with a Z, Carlos. Helium Road says the complexity of it makes it fun, to be honest. It is fun. It's fun to be able to do these things. You know, I tell you what's really fun is being able to recognize these. I did this thing with Victor Wooten at his theory camp this summer, and there's a great sax player there, Bob Franceschini, and Bob and I were talking about chord substitutions, and I was playing things. I was playing over a tune. I was playing the substitutes, and he's instantly soloing over what I was playing because his ear can hear what all of those chord substitutions are. And he immediately would go to the correct chord I was playing. He just knew it by ear because he's practiced so many of these things. He just instantly recognizes, oh, that's a two chord substitute for the 5. Oh, that's tritone substitute Rick's playing. Oh, he's substituting the tonic diminished on the 1 chord. Oh, he's substituting the on the 4 chord. He's using a major 7 sharp 5, and he just hears his stuff instantly. Bob does, and he solos over it. And the kids in the class, they're all adults. The adults in the class were saying, how do you know this stuff? And he just said, well, it's just vocabulary. It's just vocabulary and getting used to hearing these things. Once you've experimented with these substitutions, a lot of times, you just know what they sound like instantly, and you can just improvise over them. So, you can either improvise over them or you can create these chord substitutions, because really on the fly, you should be able to do this as an arranger. You know, Ray knows, Start the Rebellion, Ray knows that this stuff is, this is this stuff is really where you get some, I think, really hip, interesting things. I love this. I love seeing it's basically realizing where the connections are between in chord progressions and kind of what you can do to make them more interesting. Because ultimately it's about playing things that are more interesting. Try not to play things that everybody's played before. You don't hear me. I don't play a lot of blues licks and things like that. Why is that? Is it because I don't like blues? No, I love blues, but everybody plays blues licks. Death Ride 69, thank you. Boom! Love that. It's great. Para lost. You're 43. Is it too late for perfect pitch? It's not too late if you have a kid. Too late for you, though. Anyhow, so the discount code RB251. Those of you that want to invest in the Beato book, you can get the Beato book and my PDF bundle. It's over 600 pages. It's over a 600-page PDF that has all my latest Instagram improvs in there, then things from a lot of these YouTube videos that I've done. So it's 600 pages total. It's half price. Go to my website. You can find it there. And the ear training course, 20% off, RB251, but you have to go to beatoeartraining.com there. The ear training course, we're working on the second half right now. Aaron and I are. Hopefully we'll have it out as soon as possible. There's a lot of programming to be done on it. That's kind of why there's videos. It's a video course with programming. It's not an ear training course. It's not an app. It's a college level course with videos and with programs. There's over 100 modules on it. And by the way, I'm going to be in Boston at Berkeley on Wednesday next week giving a talk. So any of you that might be at Berkeley or in Boston, I'm going to be doing a talk on Wednesday of next week in Boston. That's all for now. You guys are the best. Check out my modal video, Aeolian. Check out my Lydian video. Really, really like those videos. Aeolian is not, well, it's natural minor in that it's the same notes as natural minor, but it's not a sound. Aeolian is a sound. Okay? It's not necessarily a set of chord progressions related to another, like A minor. What's up, Kinch? You guys are the best. We will talk later. I'll see you. Take care.